Ariadne, in Greek mythology, was the daughter of Minos, king of Crete, son of Zeus, and his queen Pasiphaë, daughter of Helios. She is mostly associated with mazes and labyrinths because of her involvement in the myths of the Minotaur and Theseus. Her father put her in charge of the labyrinth where sacrifices were made as part of reparations. Later, she helped Theseus overcome the Minotaur and save the potential sacrificial victims. In other stories, she became the bride of the god Dionysus, with the question of her being mortal or a goddess varying in those accounts. Minos and Theseus. Since ancient Greek myths are passed down through oral tradition, many variations of this and other myths exist. According to an Athenian version of the legend, Minos attacked Athens after his son was killed there. The Athenians asked for terms, and were required to sacrifice 7 young men and 7 maidens to the Minotaur every 7 or 9 years. One year, the sacrificial party included Theseus, the son of King Aegeus, who volunteered to come and kill the Minotaur. Ariadne fell in love at first sight, and helped him by giving him a sword and a ball of thread, so that he could find his way out of the Minotaur's labyrinth. She eloped with Theseus after he achieved his goal, but according to Homer, he had no joy of her, for ere that, Artemis slew her in Sigurdia because of the witness of Dionysus. Homer does not expand on the nature of Dionysus's accusation, but the Oxford Classical Dictionary speculates that she was already married to Dionysus when Theseus ran away with her. Naxos. In Hesiod and most other accounts, Theseus abandoned Ariadne sleeping on Naxos, and Dionysus rediscovered and wedded her. In a few versions of the myth, Dionysus appeared to Theseus as they sailed away from Crete, saying that he had chosen Ariadne as his wife and demanding that Theseus leave her on Naxos for him. This has the effect of absolving the Athenian culture or hero of desertion. The vase painters of Athens often showed Athena leading Theseus from the sleeping Ariadne to his ship. With Dionysus, she was the mother of Enophion, the personification of wine, Staphylos, Thoas, Pepe, thus, Phanes, Eurymedon, Aeneas, Ceramis, Marin, Euanthes, Lytrames and Tauropolis. Her wedding diadem was set in the heavens as the constellation Corona Borealis. Ariadne remained faithful to Dionysus but was later killed by Perseus at Argos. In other myths she hanged herself from a tree, like Eragon and the hanging Artemis, a Mesopotamian theme. Some scholars have posited, due to her thread-spinning and winding associations, that she was a weaving goddess, like her Ariadne, supporting this theory with the mytheme of the hanged nymph. Dionysus descended into Hades and brought her and his mother Semele back. They then joined the gods in Olympus. Ariadne as a goddess. Carl Carini and Robert Graves theorize that Ariadne was a great goddess of Crete, the first divine personage of Greek mythology to be immediately recognized in Crete, once archaeology had begun. Carini observes that her name is merely an epithet and claims that she was originally the mistress of the labyrinth, both a winding dance ground and, in the Greek view, a prison with the dreaded Minotaur at its center. Carini notes a linear B inscription from Knossos, to all the gods, honey, to the mistress of the labyrinth, honey, in equal amounts, suggesting to him that the mistress of the labyrinth was a great goddess in her own right. Professor Barry Powell has suggested she was Minoan, Crete's snake goddess. Plutarch, in his Vita of Theseus, which treats him as a historical individual, reports that in the Naxos of his day, an earthly Ariadne was separate from a celestial one. Some of the Naxians also have a story of their own, that there were 2 Minoses and 2 Ariadnes, one of whom, they say, was married to Dionysus in Naxos and bore him Staphylos and his brother, and the other, of a later time, having been carried off by Theseus and then abandoned by him, came to Naxos, accompanied by a nurse named Porcine, whose tomb they show, and that this Ariadne also died there. Quote, in Achilles by the painter Aeson, Theseus drags the Minotaur from a temple-like labyrinth, but the goddess who tends him, in this Attic representation, is Athena. An ancient cult of Aphrodite Ariadne was observed at Amathus, Cyprus. According to the obscure Hellenistic mythographer Pion of Amathus, Pion's works are lost, but his narrative is among the sources cited by Plutarch in his Vita of Theseus. According to the myth, it was current at Amathus, the second most important Cypriot cult center of Aphrodite. Theseus's ship was swept off course and the pregnant and suffering Ariadne put ashore in the storm. Theseus, attempting to secure the ship, was inadvertently swept out to sea, thus being absolved of abandonment. The Cypriot women cared for Ariadne, who died in childbirth and was memorialized in a shrine. Theseus, overcome with grief upon his return, left money for sacrifices to Ariadne and ordered 2 cult images, one of silver and one of bronze, set up at the observation in her honor on the 2nd day of the month Gorperius. One of the young men lay on the ground vicariously experiencing the throes of labor. The sacred grove in which the shrine was located was called the Grove of Aphrodite Ariadne. The primitive aspect of the cult at Amathus in this account would appear to be much older than the Athenian-sanctioned shrine of Aphrodite, who has assumed Ariadne as an epithet at Amathus. In Etruscan culture, Ariadne is paired with Dionysus on engraved bronze Etruscan bronze mirrorbacks, where the Athenian culture or hero Theseus is absent, and Semele, as mother of Dionysus, may accompany the pair, lending a particularly Etruscan air of family authority. In modern popular culture, Ariadne is a main character in the BBC series Atlantis, which is loosely based on Greek myths. She falls in love with Jason and helps him conquer the Minotaur and escape the labyrinth. Later, her stepmother Pasiphaë tries to prevent their union, as she disapproves. Ariadne is portrayed by Aisha Hart. She is a character in the sci-fi series Olympus, also loosely based off Greek myths. Daughter of King Minos, she is manipulative and in love with Hero, but he does not love her back. Ariadne is portrayed by Sophia Loughlin-Hurt. Reference in post-classical culture. Non-musical works. Ariadne of Naxos, a poem by Heinrich Wilhelm von Gerstenberg. Ariadne, a story by Anton Chekhov. Clash der Ariadne, a poem by Friedrich Nietzsche. Metaphysical painter Giorgio de Chirico painted 8 works with a classical statue of Ariadne as a prop. Ariadne, a 1924 play by A. Milne. Ariadne, an epic poem by F. L. Lucas. Ariadne is a major character in Mary Renault's 1958 historical novel The King Must Die, about the Bronze Age hero Theseus. The Minotaur myth is referenced repeatedly as a metaphor over the course of the trilogy The Golden Age, culminating at the end with a newly born machine mind adopting Ariadne as her name. An adaptation of the story of Ariadne appears in the novel Death in the Andes by Nobel Prize winner Mario Vargas Llosa. In 1989's Fright Night Comics, a spin-off of the popular 1985 vampire movie of the same name, regular character Aunt Claudia Hino is the reincarnation of Ariadne, and she resurrects Theseus and the Minotaur during her first appearance in issue number 12, which is entitled Bull Whip. Ariadne Oliver is a friend of the detective Hercule Poirot in many of his detective mysteries written by Agatha Christie. Ariadne is a recurring character in the book series The Troy Game by Australian author Sarah Douglas. Ariadne is a supporting character who designs labyrinth-like dream worlds in the 2010 movie Inception. Ariadne is the persona wielded by the character Labrys in the 2012 video game Persona 4 Arena. Ariadne appears as a recurring character in the 2013 BBC series Atlantis. An adaptation of Ariadne's tale forms Mark Haddon's short story The Island in the Pier Falls musical works. Richard Strauss's standard repertory opera Ariadne of Naxos was preceded by L'Arianna, each by Claudio Monteverdi and Carlo Agostino Bardia, and opera Ariadne by German composer Johann Georg Conradi, and by non-operatic Ariadne of Naxos works including a cantata based on the Heinrich Wilhelm von Gerstenberg poem and Jerry Antonin Bender's melodrama Ariadne of Naxos, and by Joseph Haydn's cantata Arianna and Naxos. Albert Roussel's Balisco Bacchus and Ariadne. Ariadne is a song in The Frogs, a musical with music and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim, book by Bert Shevelove, revisions by Nathan Lane. Ariadne is a song by the Crux Shadows. It appears on the album Dream Cipher and on the EP Immortal. Ariadne, in a variety of incarnations and names, is a title character in R. Murray Schafer's Patria series of music dramas, notably The Crown of Ariadne and Asterion. Ariadne is referred to in The Labyrinth Song by Asaf Avidan. Ariadne is a song by Dead Can Dance which appears on the album Into the Labyrinth. La Rosa de Ariadne, a lyric piece by Gualtiero Dazzi on a poem by Francisco Serrano I, was commissioned by the French Ministry of Culture with grants from the Fondation Beaumarchais and the Joven Orquesta Nacional de España. The first production, a European tour of 5 cities, was in a staging by Stéphane Braunschweig, with décors by Bernard Michel and costumes by Bettina Walter. The 2 principal roles of Ariadne and Minotaur were created, respectively, by Susanna Mangiao and by Ian Honeyman. The Labyrinth of Song in Asaf Avidan _S album, Gold Shadow. Ariadne is a song on Jacqueline Pie Francis's album The Sea.